The Eagles rookies will get their first real taste of the NFL starting a week from Friday when the Eagles open their rookie camp. Our first glimpses of the likes of Andre Dillard, Miles Sanders, and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside on the practice field for the Birds. And we're ready to kick off this edition of Quick Slants presented by Nissan. Along with Barrett Brooks, I'm Derek Gunn. And Barrett, what was it like for you the first time you walked into a professional football facility and put on that pro helmet, man?
Unbelievable experience. You know, you're going in and you're representing an NFL team. You've worked so hard your entire football career out there running when nobody was running, lifting when nobody else was lifting, and given an opportunity now to represent a city, a franchise, and the fans at a professional level. Unbelievable. I mean, I can remember going in and the first time I put that helmet on, and I mean, it was crazy because I could look across I looked across the locker room from me, and I see Randall Cunningham over there.
Yeah.
I look down there, I see Ricky Waters on one side of me, William Thomas. I mean, you see all these elite players, players you grew up looking at, especially like, RC. Randall Cunningham was a guy I looked at, the ultimate weapon. And here I am in the same locker room as this guy. It was just one of the best feelings I've ever had in my life.
And look what a pro football career got you, sitting here with me talking about football. It's a beautiful thing. All right, yesterday we talked about the biggest weaknesses remaining on the Eagles roster. Now let's look at the biggest strength. All right, Barrett, what position group do you is the biggest strength on this team right now?
At this point, I got to go with the receiver position.
Oh, okay.
The receiver position. I mean, these guys are deep. Look at what they bring to the table. Alshon Jeffries, one of the best outside receivers in the league. Nelson Aguilar, slot, outside, can play there. Deshaun Jackson has to be the best deep threat still in the NFL right now. In fact, he leads everybody in yards per catch as far as being a deep threat. Mack Hollins is a guy that we don't know what he has yet, but we know he has enough speed to still take the top off of defense. I mean, Shelton Gilson, he's still working his way into the fold, but now we have J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. I believe he can be one of those guys and go out there and play opposite of Nelson Aguilar and right beside a guy like Alshon Jeffrey and really of this offense down. I mean, if you want to go out there, you want to stop from taking the top off, you put two deep. You run cover two. That means you have two people out there making sure nobody gets in back of you. Now you're getting ate up on the outside by Alshon Jeffrey or Arcega-Whiteside. And then in the middle of the field, you got a guy like Nelson Aguilar. He can go in there and just run slant plays. He can run Texas routes. He can run all these routes in the interior of that offense, and it's really hard to really put a double team on him. So they have every single facet of that defense, a guy that can go out there and make an impact. I mean, these guys are deep, and they're skilled, and they're talented. Each one brings a different skill set to the game when they line up out there. You don't know what they're going to do, and it's going to be hard for defense to defend them.
Your list is nice. My list is better.
How is that?
Cornerback. How many teams in the league do you know that are 6 deep in the cornerback position? Oh, by the way, 5 of these cornerbacks that the Eagles did not hesitate to put in at any given moment of a game, obviously a few of them out of necessity, are still on rookie contracts. How many teams do you know that have that luxury?
Wow, you're right about that.
They're all between the ages of 22 and 25 years of age. Several of them can play safety. Several of them can move over and play the slot as well. One of the guys, Cre'Von LeBlanc, he wasn't even on a team until November. And later in the season, Jim Schwartz, defensive coordinator, said, I don't know where we'd be without Cre'Von. This kid walked off the street and came in and helped this team and not just fill the gap. He didn't just survive. He thrived. Now, it took him and Avonte Maddox a couple of weeks to really figure things out, but they didn't just survive, they started to thrive. And it's because of the back end of this defense that helped this team get to where they got, where nobody thought they were able to get, which was the postseason. Now, of course, it fell shorter than a lot of people anticipated, but Howie Roseman, I've said this time and time again, Howie Roseman, when I asked him this question in January, I said, Howie, when you look at the surprise of some of these young kids that they gave you in the back end of this defense in the latter part of the season, does it help you make decisions in the back end of this defense in the latter part of the season? Does it help you make decisions? They didn't draft a cornerback, right? And of all the undrafted free agents they signed, they didn't sign a cornerback. Now, even if they decide to take the highest cornerback, I'm not saying they will, in Ronald Darby and his $8.5 million and dangle him out there as trade bait somewhere, they're still going to pick up another young corner who's got a chance to tutor under 5 guys who have valuable NFL experience.
I get it, but I still can't say that. I have proven commodities on my side of the ball. D. Jackson, Alshon Jeffrey.
I agree with you.
They'll go out there, they'll make an instant impact. But I do see what you're saying as far as the cornerback position. I mean, these guys go, I mean, you have guys that went out there and got sharpened iron and played in the fire. You know, and they did very, very well going out there and really just basically taking a lot of the headaches off their defensive coordinator. Schwartz was pulling this hair out at the beginning of the season. But as time went on in the season, these guys went out there and played very, very well for this defense. In fact, so much that they started blitzing a little more in the backside of the season because they trusted these guys to go out there and make plays.
You're right here with me. You're right here.
But still, though,
we're
talking about the receiver position.
Right here.
Nelson, you know, he's going to step his game up too. And then on the outside, Alshon. And, I mean, we really have a talented group of guys on both sides of the box on the outside.
But how impressed were we in the latter part of the season in playoffs when they moved Devontae from safety to corner, how he broke on the ball and anticipated throws and was breaking up passes on the outside?
Well, you could have bought me with a wooden nickel.
There you go.
I could not believe that this kid went out there and was a cornerback in college, did not play any safety.
Yes.
A cornerback in college and went out there and played safety just as good as any
Absolutely. See? We're right here. All right, as the Eagles continue to await word on Chris Long and his future, a little bit of news on that front today. Now, ESPN's Field Yates said the team and Long have agreed to move the date of a $1 million roster bonus he was due today until the first day of veterans reporting to training camp. So Long will have ample time to decide his future. At the heart of Long's decision, playing time. In the Super Bowl season, he played just 48% of the defensive snaps and produced 5 sacks. Then last year, both numbers increased due to injuries elsewhere, and he recorded 6.5 sacks and played 59% of the snaps. Now, Long has said the Eagles have told him his role will be decreasing if he comes back, but he actually tweeted today that he wants the chance at the same role, but that opportunity is now gone. All right, Barrett, does he deserve to play the same role? What should the Eagles do with this? This is a big dilemma here, like a soap opera.
I know, man, but, you know, first of all, we need to look at this whole situation. You really can't guarantee playing time.
No.
It's played out of necessity, and, you know, they didn't tell Chris Long he was going to play 59% of the snaps last year.
No, they didn't.
It just happenstance that, you know, Barnett was out, which allowed him to go out there and play more. Now, I will say this. His production on the field would dictate his playing time out there. It doesn't matter how good this young guy is playing. If Chris Long is out there balling and playing well, he will get the majority of the reps because they first of all, he's good at what he does, and he always making something happen while he's out there. He's out there really imposing his will on offenses. Then they're going to put him in. He's going to play a lot more. But just putting yourself in a situation, you can only do that if you're on the team. And I think Chris will realize that, and he already, you know, understands that if he plays as good as he played these last 2 years, he will get put in a situation where he will have a lot more reps. And I doubt seriously if there's a younger guy on the team at this point that could play better than Chris Long right now.
I think his mindset already is, I don't think he mentally wants to play the game again.
Right, exactly.
I think, you know, as we talked about a few weeks ago, when a player gets to a certain stage and he starts contemplating retirement, he also starts contemplating, do I want to put my body through the rigors of training to get back for OTAs, mandatory camps, training camp, preseason games, and the rigors of another 16-game season?
Time away from your family.
Absolutely. He's got small kids. You know, he wants to watch his kids grow up. He doesn't need the money. He wants to devote more time to different charities that he's a part of, and that's understandable. He's highly decorated. He survived in this league more than a decade. He's got a nice pension waiting for him. He's made a lot of money, so he doesn't have to worry about that. Now, if he comes back, he will have a role on his team. And I have to give the Eagles credit for one thing, and based on what Chris Long is saying, the Eagles didn't lie to him. How many times have we heard, and I know I have heard throughout my career, players talk about, you know what, they duped me into coming back here. They told me we would do this. They made empty promises, and once they got me back here, they didn't come close to keeping them. So at least the Eagles told him on the surface, look, your time's going to be diminished. Now, if Chris Long really wants a definitive role somewhere, right now, to me, he has 2 options. Number 1, either seek another team, or number 2, call it a career. It's that simple.
I'll go with the
The latter?
He's going to come back. I think he's going to come back.
You think he's going to come back?
And he's going to play, and he's going to play an influential role on this team still, because he still has a good skill set to go out there and impact on defense. He's still got that impact.
You're more optimistic than I am, my friend. Right, elsewhere in the division, the Giants have been getting slammed for the better part of a week over the selection of Duke quarterback Daniel Jones with their number 6 overall pick. Now, GM Dave Gettleman has continued to defend the move.
Well, I know for a fact there were 2 teams who would have taken him in front of 17. I know that for a fact. So, Tom, it's tough. It really is. It wasn't easy for me to pass up Josh Allen.
The Redskins reportedly were one of the teams Gettleman was referring to, so their GM, Bruce Allen, had this to say. We picked the player we wanted to pick. I'm almost positive Dave, meaning Gettleman, has no clue what our draft board would be. I didn't know which boards I don't know which board he knows, but he doesn't know ours. The Skins, of course, took Dwayne Haskins with their 15th overall pick. And Barry, how should all the Eagles feel about this right now?
I'm so glad we're not talking about this in the Eagles locker room. I mean, this is crazy. Gettleman at this point made a major mistake. When you have an elite pass rusher like that, you got to pick him up. There were 2 quarterbacks that you kind of have on the same level. I think Haskins was better than what they picked up. So, yes, I think that was a foolish move not to pick up this proven passer. You didn't have any heat on the quarterback last year, and teams went up and down the field on your defense because of it. You didn't have Olivier Vernon there because he was hurt, and when he was in there, you could tell he wasn't playing at the level that he usually plays at. Now you had a chance to go out there and really get a bona fide pass rusher at that pick, and you went out and picked a guy that was okay from Duke. I mean, just okay at Duke. You know, this is not like he's a game-changing quarterback. This is a guy that's just okay. I mean, hell, he went to Duke, man. I mean, they don't worry about playing football. All they worry about is playing basketball, man. So they went and got, you know what, I'm just a loss of words. We'll see. I'm so glad that he's not our GM.
When you look at the shocking offseason moves the Giants have made, and, of course, shocking everybody with their first overall pick with the number 6 pick in this year's draft, wouldn't it be in Gettleman's best interest to just remain silent, don't say anything, and let your actions down the road speak louder than words?
Sometimes, I learned a long time ago, a guy told me, hey, look, if you be quiet, you won't seem as stupid as you really are.
Oh.
And at this point, he keeps on talking. I mean, look at the beginning of what he said before he was about to trade Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah.
Oh, we have no interest in trading Odell Beckham Jr. Then 3 days later, what do? They trade Odell Beckham. Sometimes, just be quiet. Because you don't know what you don't know unless you say what you don't know. And he said what he doesn't know.
Can I tell you that all the time? You don't listen to me. How many times I got to tell you?
See what I got to deal with?
Some of Philadelphia's brightest stars sitting down yesterday and swapping jerseys. Carson Wentz gifting Bryce Harper and Reese Hoskins personalized Eagles jerseys, and they return the favor with the number 11 in red pinstripes. This is all part of the special Philly Favorites slated to air on NBC 10 on May 10th at 7 o'clock. Barrett, we know that Mr. Harper is a Cowboys fan. Do you think he will convert?
Well, I don't think he's not one of those fair weather fans, so I don't think he's going to convert and be, any less of a Cowboys fan. But he damn well better be an Eagles fan come week 7 and week 16 of next year, or me and him will have a problem, a serious problem. So you could be a Cowboy fan all you want to, with the exception of week 7 and week 16.
I can't put it any better than that.
The Philadelphia Eagles select Andre Dillard.
We're excited to have you be a Philadelphia Eagle. Come get some work in and help us win a championship again.
Congratulations. I can't wait to get my hands on you, buddy.
The Eagles are certainly excited to have Andre Dillard in the fold. That was Doug Peterson and offensive line coach Jeff Stoutland talking to their first-round pick just before they made the selection. Now, Barrett, Stoutland is one of the best in the business at what he does. What does he need to do to work with this kid?
Well, this kid, he's kind of unrefined as far as being a run blocker. When I say that run blocking, he hasn't really been in a three-point stance. And it's hard going from a two-point stance, three-point stance. In fact, getting down, whoa.
Wait, don't hurt something. Don't do it.
I'm about to get in a three-point stance.
Don't do it.
We got to go to the wide angle. Let's go to the wide angle. Camera 4, let's go to the wide angle, okay? The wide angle. When he gets down in the stance, usually this is a two-point stance. This is where all the pass blocking in the Pac-12, this is where they go from the two-point stance. They don't get in the three-point stance coming off the ball and attacking. He's not that guy. But he is an elite pass blocker. He moves his feet well, changes direction. He really knows how to put his hands on guys, separate, keep him away from the pass blocker. He's not going to go out and debo guys like Jason Peters did the last 10 years going into his 11th year. He's not going to do that. He's not an overpowering guy. But what he does do, he goes out there and he makes sure that he totally takes out the best pass blocker on the field, which is usually over the left tackle. He's going to go out there and a guy like, whoever, Lawrence from Dallas, he will render him with no sacks, no hurries and everything because he's so technique sound and so technique conscious. But he's not going to dominate him. He's not going to throw him down. He's not going to impose his will on him like a Jason Peters will.
All right, let's go to the tape. Show me what you're talking about, man.
Watch this. He switches off a stunt. I mean, his feet are fluid, the way he rides the block down. He shuts off the penetrator. The penetrator goes inside, shuts it off, gets his hands on him, punches him, and then has the wherewithal to get outside on the looper coming around. Really good. Then he finishes plays also. He finishes blocks. Watch this. Gets him out, presses him, creates separation from him, and stays with the block, Keep staying with the block. You want a guy to do that. He's got to do that. Give the quarterback as much time as you can. But you also look at this, he sits down on a bull rush. Watch here. Sets, punches, guys try to bull rush him, sits down on a bull rush. That's perfect technique. Hands inside, alleviates any pressure on the quarterback. Him, elite pass blocking skill. We just need to run on the run blocking.
Now, we all know that eventually Jason Peters will ride off into the sunset and this young man will move into his slot. How much time does Peters have left?
Well, at this point, you take as much time as you want, Mr. Peters. The bodyguard, he can do what he wants. He's a guy, you have to let him go out on his own rules. He's an instant Hall of Famer. After 5 years, he'll have his gold jacket on. But we have to understand this. He can't play forever. Father Time is undefeated. He's never lost. So at this point, Jason will give you what he can for as long as he can this season. But I think after this year, he's going to be gone.
Well, you hate to see a player of Peters' caliber eventually call it a career, but it looks like, from your estimation, that the left side is in good hands with young Andre Dillard.
If you look at it, he's the heir apparent.
Yeah.
He's the next guy to come out there and be that Trey Thomas type of guy that'll play there forever. You don't have to worry about the backside of your franchise quarterback. You want a guy like Dillard on your side of the ball because he'll alleviate a lot of the pressure from the backside.
This week, we've taken a look at how the rest of the division fared in the NFL draft. Today, we check in with the Cowboys. Of course, they didn't have a first-round pick after trading that away for Amari Cooper. They took defensive tackle Tristan Hill in the second round, then Penn State offensive lineman Connor McGovern in the third, and also adding a pair of running backs behind Ezekiel Elliott, and got 2/5 of the way to their own Jackson 5 in the 5th round. Barrett, what did you think about their draft?
I think they did all right, understanding what they had and lacked in the offensive line. They went up there and picked a pretty good guard in Connor McGovern. He's really good, fundamentally sound, come off the ball, got a little nasty streak to him. Paved the way for our running back that we just picked up last year. So I like him from Penn State. At this point, we have to understand Zeke can't play every single play like he played last year. So they did well by going to get Tony Pollard from Memphis. Okay. He's a really good running back, very versatile running back, can play third down, catch the ball out of the backfield. And, has a little speed to him, too. In fact, I had him ranked, at least a top 10 back in this draft. So they did good by doing that. Other than that, I really think that their team didn't really need to do as much going into this offseason. I thought they were complete. They signed the guys they needed to sign. Although they do have some stuff they got going on as far as internally on that defensive line. Yeah. But they have some guys that come in there and play well for them.
Yeah, you look at David Irving has professed that he's done with playing football out of frustration with how the league has handled his off-season situation. Randy Gregory is suspended indefinitely. We don't know when he's going to come back. So to me, it looks like a draft of depth, just to add some bodies to fill fill into some spots and to relieve other players. Now, when you look at the overall structure of the Cowboys as we know it right now, what chance do you give them to repeat as champs of the NFC East?
Well, it doesn't happen. You know, I mean, they'll go back to back in this division. This division is too even as far as, you know, talent level with Dallas and Philly.
Sure.
I'll say this. I think the Eagles have put themselves in a position where they're better than the Dallas Cowboys at this point. If everybody stays healthy going into this, from this offseason and going into the season, I really think that the Eagles have a leg up on them because we have the better quarterback. And if he stays healthy, we'll be better.
Look at this overall Dallas defense right now. It's a rugged defense. 7th ranked defense last year. Number 5 against the run, 6 against points allowed. They had 39 quarterback sacks. They still have one of the better offensive lines in the National Football League. Old man Jason Witten has come out of retirement. Say what you want to say about Jason Witten. The man knows how to slip open in the middle of a field. He's one of the best in the business when it comes to that.
Yes,
and, of course, they have the defending rushing champion who's been the rushing champion 2 out of the 3 years he's been in the league. So you can't overlook that. Now, you said they probably won't run Zeke as much as they have in the past, but he will run enough to keep the ball in the offense's hands so the defense doesn't have to be a field for extended period of time.
I hate it.
All right. I know, I do too.